day to you and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Jadel Kabir. Excited that you're here with us for political conversations. These conversations are very simple, truthful, Prof putting them across in a hard-hitting way. How are you doing today?
Good.
Big conversation we're having now. There are talks. Both sides met yesterday for preliminary conversation and meeting, taking a look at how the dialogue will be. There are even rumors that it's Ruto that called the majority leader and the minority to have this conversation. I don't know which is true. Has Ruto now yielded, or is Azimio on the other side that has decided we need to have this bipartisan parliamentary talk? What is happening?
I mean, from the start, they all were for this bipartisan talk.
Yeah.
They were only differing in terms of some
parliamentary
fundamentals, some details, whether parliamentary and what parliamentary means. Does parliamentary mean you do everything within the confines of parliament itself, or it can still be parliamentary, bipartisan, but outside? And those are some of the differences. But what was most serious was the evidence of lack of goodwill through utterances and so on and so forth. Yeah.
But if Azimio did not want a parliamentary conversation inside Parliament, and now they're having this team meet with the other team, does this mean that they're not serious about having this conversation outside Parliament? I
don't think so. I think they're still committed to having these talks beyond the confines of Parliament. As to whether they will be able to have their way, that's another story.
I want you to talk to me about that double speak, because on one side you say we are not going to have this talk in Parliament. Of course, this team has been formed, and now you go and meet this team, and everyone is wondering, why are you meeting them if it's going to happen in Parliament and there's no official?
No, meeting them doesn't mean it's going to happen. These teams were not formed in the thinking of Azimios. They were not formed so as to have the thing strictly within Parliament. You remember even the Kofi Annan talks, unless I'm forgetting, but I think the 8 were all members of Parliament. Maybe one may not have been, but at least on the side of ODM, I remember Orengo was in Parliament, William Ruto was in Parliament, Sally Kosgei I think was in Parliament, I'm sure. I'm not so sure, I think she was. The other one was whoever it was. I think they were all in Parliament. On the side, Mudavadi was in Parliament. On the other side, Wetangula was in Parliament, Martha Karua was in Parliament. I don't know these other two. Sam Ongeri was in Parliament. I think there was another one I keep forgetting. But you see, here were MPs but talking outside Parliament. Okay. So you can still have these 7 talking outside Parliament, and that then creates room for other players. And therefore, critically, for the role of the principals, for the role of Raila and Ruto. If you take it to Parliament, the role of Ruto and Raila doesn't become as powerful as it should be. Should
they be involved? Should their role be powerful, as you put it, in this conversation? Because when you listen to Kenya Kwanza, it's all about, especially regarding Ruto is too busy to have this conversation with Raila.
Too busy how? You can't be too busy for your country.
Yeah. Isn't that?
Why are you president if you can be too busy for your country?
Don't you think he's busy working for the country?
If you are too busy, then you leave. You don't become president. Because to be president means you have to work for the people of your country. So you can't be too busy for them. These talks are about this country. Specifically, whether we shall have a country you can be president of or not. If the country goes down, can you be president?
Are you concerned for Azimio? Because this conversation, now we haven't yet, as I asked you earlier, we haven't yet had this official conversation or report that these talks are going to be outside Parliament. And this was I think it's Kalonzo Musyoka that said we're not going to have these talks if they are not yet, if we do not really know what is happening. Don't you think it doesn't look good for Azimio having this conversation now?
No. Those things have to be discussed to be determined from talks. How can you just have them without talking? So you have to talk.
There must be talks first.
There must be talks about talks. And where the talks will be held. It is. I have always told you there's a template. Nothing new here. This thing, in fact, if people were to be honest and intelligent enough, I'm sorry to use this word all the time, because I have a problem. Most people don't seem to be intelligent. This is something we can finish one morning. But there's nothing new about these things. Everything that's going on is known. It's a template. They'll still come back where they are going, where they are avoiding. So we can have these talks one morning over a cup of tea, and we agree. But we can also take 2 months. Let me tell you about these things. I am sure the Kenya Kwanza side, William Ruto will want to buy time. That's all. He just wants to buy time. Some things will be overtaken by events. If the weather continues being as good as it is, even food will be available in the country. So yeah.
And Raila will not have anything to push for.
Yeah, and some things will resolve themselves. These experiments with the oil, although it's kicking the can down the road, it could work. Crude prices, I think it's surprising that Russia has released more oil than ever before. So, crude oil prices could come down. Some things could be sorted out with the time, without being deliberately done by. So, on the part of Kenya Kwanza, it's in their interest to buy time.
Do you think...
So if the other side can't see that, they are cooked.
They need to act fast,
No, it's not just acting, it's being intelligent about it. It's being smart.
Do you think the question of Ruto's legitimacy is still in part of these talks?
But they are saying open the servers. Opening the servers is about legitimacy. But it has to go beyond just saying. You have to be tactful about it. There are certain things you have to do to lead the other side into seeding grounds in that direction. You don't just say, you know, oftentimes people think it's just saying. It's just saying. No, saying is not enough. You must lead your man into a corner somewhere. From there he can't come out.
You know, from what you're saying...
Not necessarily cornering them as in tricking them. But, you know, you come up with an argument, keep reinforcing that argument until you reach an irresistible conclusion that everybody on the table can see. There's no other route other than this.
I'm saying from what you're saying, actually, it seems like you don't see any strategy to corner Ruto, as you put it.
It's not easy. I'm not saying I don't see it. I'm just saying it's not easy. It's not shouting. Any fool can shout. Any fool can bang a table. It's not. That's not it. No, it is strategy.
Are you then suggesting that they should go the extreme way?
No.
Extreme way of going back to the people.
Extremes are even if you go back to the people without strategy, without an end game, so what is it? Even going to the people has its limits. Yeah. In other words, what I'm trying to say is very simple. Both sides should not try to be smart. That's why I said this is something we can work on one morning. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Does that mean extremes?
Now, if
you are going extreme, can you do something in one morning? No.
According
if you are being clever, can you do it one morning? No. By saying we can do this thing one morning over a cup of tea, over breakfast, I'm saying both sides will see the need to talk to save this country from anarchy. And then you put all the cards on the table, with none under the table.
No tricks.
Yeah, no tricks. No extremism. Hakuna sungura mjanja. No buying time. Then we shall agree what we can agree on, and we shall move forward.
According to Deputy Speaker Gladys Bosch-Shelley, says the situation now is different from 2007. That's why we need not to have the Kofi Annan kind of talks. Is the situation the same as it was in 2007, and Parliament can just deal with this in Parliament?
I would want to tell Bosch-Shelley, if that's what she says. You know, sometimes I don't hear some of these things. There are too many things coming from too many quarters, small people and everybody else.
Gladys is not small, so...
I didn't say she's small.
Yeah.
I said there are too many small people trying to be big.
Carry on.
Yeah. She could be very big. She's my friend.
Yeah.
She's a big woman. See, what I'm saying is, the situation is not the same, which is true. Today is worse than 2007. Yeah.
How? No, we had post-election violence at post-2007.
This is worse. This one can burn the country. That one was just people fighting kidogos. This one can burn this one can destroy the country. What we are in today has the potential of destroying the country completely, and it will take 50 years to build it. This situation is serious, it's not a joke. You know why I wish to educate Shelley? After that 2007, we thought we were going to learn a lesson. We were shaken as a people. And therefore we said, never again. Never
again
should Kenya come this close to destruction. Never again should a Kenyan look at another Kenyan and they lift a machete to take it to them. Never again. And we all agreed. What did we do? We set up institutions, beginning with the Constitution of 2010. And we gave ourselves institutions. We say people did not trust the police That's why they were able to take law into their hands. Let's have a new police service. We put in NPS, National Police Service. We said people went to the streets because there was no court they could trust. We established even the Supreme Court and took the judiciary through some kind of vetting, all judges. You can go. We set commissions. Why today is worse is that people have given hope. Have given up hope because the same institutions have failed. So we have now gotten to a step of hopelessness. There's no hope. And that's a dangerous stage. Any human being minus hope is an animal. So Kenyans now are like animals because there's no hope. No Kenyan can go to the Supreme Court in 2007. Not you think if Raila stood or Kalonzo and he lost, do you think he can go to the Supreme Court? People will ask him, you are mad, where are you going?
But she says back in
do you think people can trust the police?
Back in 2007.
With what has happened during demonstrations, do you think Kenyans trust the police? So tell Boss Shelley, this is worse than 2007 because 2007 made us engage the gear of creating hope. And we did it through a number of institutions. Those institutions have not delivered the people of Kenya.
According to her, in 2007,
Kenyans have lost hope.
The person in charge of election could not even tell who won the election. This time round, Chebukati said it is Ruto, gave him even the certificate. We are sure, according to her, that it is Ruto who is president.
Ruto won and Chebukati gave him.
Yes, that's why the situation
I agree with her.
Yeah.
In 2007, the chairman, like she says, what was his name?
Kivuitu.
God rest his soul. He was a fine general. He's full of humor. I liked his humor. He said he didn't even know who won. Even Judge Krigela, who came from South, I said you couldn't tell who won. Fine. Does Shelley know even this time we didn't know who won? Because we had a commission of 7. 3 says Ruto won. 4 say no. So even from the commission also, even like 2007, when the commission didn't know who won, in 2022, IBC also didn't know who won the election. Kenyans don't know. Because 4 said Ruto didn't win. 3 said Ruto won. So the best we can do is to say we don't know who won. From an IBC perspective. From IBC perspective.
But the chairman is the person.
Because she's talking about IBC that time, didn't know who won. Even this time, IBC cannot tell us who won. The Supreme Court says it is Ruto. But IBC has not told us who won.
But IBC's chairperson...
No, the courts themselves have ruled. Supreme Court, in this election, Chebukati is not IBC. The same Supreme Court, it told Chebukati you are not IBC. To purport to be one is to make a blunder. You are not IBC. So Chebukati is not IBC. Chebukati wasn't IBC. There was IBC. And IBC has not told Kenyans who won.
So according to you, you use Gladys Boss-Shelley's argument.
Logic. I'm only responding to her logic, to her argument. And it is fallacious. It is illogical. She can't win on that argument. 2007 is true. Electoral Commission, ECK, couldn't tell Kenyans who won. Kibaki went to swear himself at night. Na akasema atamanya kazi zake za uhalifu. Sio urahisi.
It's a solution now.
And now, this year, we are waiting for IBC to tell us who is the president-elect. 3 of them from Bomas tell us Ruto. 4 of them from Serena tell us otherwise. So, did the IBC tell us who won the election? They didn't. And they went to the Supreme Court to argue the same. The IBC itself went to the Supreme Court to argue about who has won. So they didn't tell us who won. So tell Boss Shelley, wajinga walisha Kenya.
Is the solution now what Raila brings to the table? 47 national tallying centers in different counties. This is part of
That's not a solution, that's a suggestion. For us to, there are 2 things to do. Talk about our country and agree that one of the problems we need to resolve is the matters of election. So we need to set up a good electoral system. That electoral system will have an infrastructure that is functional. That could include the restructuring of IBC, rethinking IBC afresh, and whether it in fact could be called IBC or not, and whether we should decentralize.
That is not the solution, but it is a suggestion, according to you.
Suggestion.
Thank you so much for tuning in into a political conversation today. This has been a conversation of talks for talks. We have already started talks. Then we'll have to see what these talks, bring to the country. Until we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.